Hi folks, you're with Tassifs today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about a few surveys that I've seen where SJW types in particular say that they would not work at a place that didn't have a sufficiently robust, as they would term it, robust policy for diversity and inclusion. Now, it's not necessarily defined precisely what diversity and inclusion is, but we can assume that it means that at least half the employees are minorities, and there's also inclusion in terms of sexual proclivity and transgender bathrooms and so on. So this is the claim that, and it's around 50%. I mean, one I saw was 46%, another was 49%. So we'll say we're approximately talking half. So 1 in 2 workers or people who are at working age would not work at a place that didn't have a sufficient or an adequate policy in the area of diversity inclusion. Now, I guess the lower down the wage scale you go, the more likely it is that there'll be a diverse workforce. For example, being a McDonald's cleaner or busboy, that's open to anybody who can stand upright and who has a pulse. So, that would be probably quite diverse at that end. At the top end, say brain surgeons or rocket scientists, one would suspect that would be a little bit less diverse. Now, the people that would place diversity and inclusion in the ideological sense as a priority probably wouldn't be rocket scientists or brain surgeons. It may be through affirmative action, that's a possibility, but otherwise, I think not. So really, it's diversity inclusion is an issue to lower IQ, less capable people who really don't have much of value to offer in terms of scintillating academic career. They're industrious, conscientious, they've got a high IQ, lots of drive and ambition, or these sort of things. They probably have none of those things. And so when people are talentless, they tend to fall back on moral issues. Well, I may be fucking useless, but god damn it, I'm moral. And that's pretty much the direction they go into. So that they're all aspiring, Greta Thunbergs or something like that. Now, when you approach these people, I know I've met some of them, and they, diversity inclusion, that's a transgender bathrooms, absolute priority. But you ask them to give up anything they've got, give it up right now. You're not ideologically give it up, but give something up that they've got to a minority or a lesser advantaged minority, then they're not so keen on that. Now, other people can give up their stuff, but they don't see why they should give up what they have, citing, well, there's others who have more. Why can't the people who have more than me give it up? Why do I have to give something up? Well, you've got more than the black transgender lesbian there, so shouldn't you, at the very least, share what you've got with the transgender lesbian? Oh, no. It's those damn rich white fascist Nazi Hitlers. They have to give their stuff up. I don't have to give anything up. So when they have to give something up to create this diversity, inclusion, and equality, and diversity and inclusion has become synonymous in the ideology with equality, that you can't have equality unless you have diversity and inclusion. Now, equality is then equated, of course, to equal outcomes. Just look at the rationale here. Ideologically, you can say, or these people assert that black lesbians should represent 50% of the CEOs in America. Black lesbians do not represent 50% of CEOs in America, therefore corrective action must be taken. This is always the rationale they apply in everything. Black people make up, for example, I think it's 13% of the US population. Therefore, black people should represent 13% of CEOs. black people do not represent 13% of CEOs. Thus, it is a problem that must be corrected. So when they present the ideological position first, then switch it quickly to the factual position, it is true that 13% or black representation is less than 13% of US CEOs. That is true. But it's a problem. Why? Because the ideology that was presented before it, black people should have 13% of it. Well, wait a minute. Who says should? Well, the ideology says. And you've got a problem with that, you damn fascist Nazi Hitler. So this is how they conjoin the ideology and the fact, and then present this as a social problem that is clamoring for a solution, through affirmative action, through this, through that, and so on. But it never was a problem to begin with. So let's say, well, black people are not 13% of CEOs, which is true. Then let's have a look at the reasons why. Could it be that they don't do so good in school? Could it be that 75% of black kids are born outside of marriage, and 62% have no idea who their biological parents are, living in a household that's on welfare, with the mother working intermittently at the takeout chicken shop, and she's 28. She's already got 6 children by 6 different men. That's hardly an environment conducive to a scholastic achievement, for example, or inculcating an industrious and conscientious view of work and so on. So that's more likely the reason, or the reasons are probably going to be tied up in that sort of stuff, rather than anything to do with prejudice or racism or any of the newly invented bogeymen that the globalists have so generously funded in terms of activist and NGO groups. So, but the other side of it is and it's a lot of particularly young white girls, boys too, but primarily young white girls that say, well, I don't want to work unless that place has diversity and inclusion. And that's a way, of course, of saying, well, I just don't really want that job. I mean, reality is the job pays shit money, which is all they're capable of doing anyway. Job pays shit money. They have no future. They've been told that all men are evil and bad, or white people are evil and racist, and slavery and racism and Hitler. And, they've been plied with all this crap all the way through high school. So they perceive, a married relationship and procreating, what's a waste of fucking time? Because all the guys out there, all the white guys out there are Hitler. So that's not going to work, and the world's going to end tomorrow because of climate change. So I'm not going to have any children. And, well, there's no point in me going out to work or anything, because the money that I get paid is so shit that I can't even afford to rent a place unless I get 3 or 4 girlfriends to come in with me on some shit box at the arse end of town. So I might as well just stay in my parents' basement and just expand my Twitter blue check mark hatred of everything that's white and everything that's American and everything that's Western and everything that's male and everything that's straight. And so there's also the futility of life is such that all they've got to think about and worry about is the moral question, which is even given to them about, well, the outcomes are not equal. Outcomes not equal, therefore it is a terrible, terrible moral situation. The world is awash with evil, Hitler, because all outcomes are not the same. Now, there's the other side of it, or another side of it too, is if they do go in and work and they've got a job and any sort of responsibility, then they'll be judged at some point. They'll have to deliver a result, and they'll be judged against that result, and that could be down to their brain power or whatever. But the hard work, industry, turning up for work on time, turning up sober, not snorting cocaine on the weekend. It could be anything, but they've got to deliver, and they're terrified of being judged or having to do, the equivalent of a pass and fail exam. So that's another one. Well, I'm not doing that because they don't employ enough black lesbians at that thing. That's why I'm not working there. It's not because I'm terrified of failing. It's not because of that. It's not because I got participation awards all through my life and I've got no idea what it's like to actually do any work and have to produce a result. Nothing to do with that. It's because not enough transgender bathrooms, because I'm fucking morally superior to all those damn fascist Nazis. So this is also part of the wider thing. Now, I sort of going back some years, and I was this is a firm I was head cheese, and I didn't realise that one of the sort of women in reception was an activist in the area of this diversity inclusion stuff. So she was going to a diversity inclusion meetings and all that sort of activism, NGO activism, and I didn't know about this, and I don't know if anyone else did in there. Somebody must have, but they didn't tell me. And so she was saying, well, this workplace is terrible because they've got probably close to 50% actually were women at this place, but the senior roles were 75%, 80% held by straight white males, and this girl, who's no genius, by the way, she, getting carried away with the propaganda of it all, decided to tell them at this activist group, and one of them at the activist group worked in a government department that was responsible for spreading the word for diversity inclusion. So I get a call one day, somebody wants to talk to you, and this is the reception. This is the one who goes to the activist groups. So the call comes straight through. So, okay, well, I'll take it then if she's put it through. And she just jumped straight in. Why do you not employ black lesbians? Why do you not have transgender bathrooms and da da da? So what are you talking about? Who the fuck are you? And was threatening to, or implying that they had the power to do effectively an audit to say, well, how politically correct and woke are you? And if you're not woke enough, then there's going to be some sort of consequences. Now, I figured it was a bluff and a threat. I mean, definitely a threat, but also a bluff. And said, no, the decisions are driven by commercial, people who are qualified to get the job, people who are not don't, and it's that simple. But the argument back then, not as advanced as guilt tripping as it is now, but the argument back then was, well, diversity inclusion isn't important to you. Do you hate black lesbians, you damn fascist Hitler? And it was very much that sort of presentation. Now, I did a bit of checking on the person who called. Your classic stuff. You're a lesbian who's done gender studies and Marxist theory, and the usual suspect. Straight from central casting. But the thing that scared me at the time was she's actually on a government payroll. My taxes were paying for her to go around in heavy private companies and say how they, who they should and shouldn't be hiring. No. The commercial imperative makes a decision and nothing else. But that was how it was even some years ago in the corporate thing. So you can see how it's expanded today and how it's being treated as through high school and through college and through university, that sort of thing, how it's being put forward as, well, this is how society must be ordered. Society must have equal outcomes. It must be done this way. There is no other way. And again, this rationale, they inflate the figures here, but transgender people represent 2% of the population. Transgender people do not represent 2% of CEOs. Therefore, there's a problem that must be addressed because the outcome's not equal. So that's equal outcome thing getting played around with. But I just want to talk a little bit about this. So I don't think it's really got anything to do, or very little to do, with the actual concern over, again, transgender bathrooms or black lesbians or anything like that. I think it's a mixture of laziness and sloth, fear of being judged, fear of accountability, and the futility of the world that the globalists have inflicted on the West, where there are now so many jobs that don't pay enough to even have your own place and drive your own car and this sort of thing. And this is something the globalists have forced on us, while all at the same time going, no, don't worry about that. Look over here, transgender bathrooms, and that's really where we're at now. And I think why these surveys, assuming they're even accurate, why these surveys pretend that there are so many people out there concerned about transgender bathrooms. I don't believe they are in reality, and if they are, they're certainly not prepared to give anything up themselves to ostensibly better the lives of others. You've been with Tacitus throughout your pushback channel, and thank you for listening.